You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, we're going to talk about the Cleveland Browns. That's right. My goodness, Deshaun Watson blessed the Cleveland Browns practice field with his presence yesterday and today already. Today on Friday, he currently is listed as questionable. We'll get to an article from a very good NFL insider who's been around forever. 25 years, a guy I've been reading forever that came out of Miami, who's now with Outkick, Armando Seguero, because he points out a couple of concerning things involving Deshaun Watson and the fact that his issue is a rotator cuff. All right? And we will also take a look at what is a very, very damn good Browns defense. Guys, this Browns defense is steaming its way towards historically good. Okay, number one in the league in points allowed, as in they don't give any up. We know they held down a 49ers team. Granted, it was a 49ers team missing Debo and Christian for a lot of the game. Well, Christian went out in the fourth, I think. And then, of course, Trent Williams went out for a little while, came back. Regardless, who cares? With P.J. Walker, they beat what, in my opinion, is the best team in the league, the 49ers. And that defense is dominant, and there's some real numbers to back up how dominant they are. And they're considerably ahead of the Ravens and the Niners right now on defense. Pretty scary. But let's get to Deshaun Watson. Boy, if the Browns, can you imagine if the Browns had C.J. Stroud right now, who I just did a video on for our Newsbreak channel? Go subscribe to Black and White Sports on Newsbreak. We cover Texas sports over there, but I just did a Texans video. It is amazing where that kid is right now in the rankings of NFL quarterbacks. And in fact, if I remember correctly, in fact, I've got it up right here. Yeah, that's right. At PFF right now, he's actually ranked ahead of Deshaun Watson so far this season based on analytics anyway. And actually, if you watch Texans games, he's been considerably better than Watson, game in and game out. They may have hit on a superstar in Houston. Deshaun Watson seems on course to return to the Cleveland Browns lineup. He's questionable, but we'll see. Perhaps as soon as Sunday against the Colts. I know betting lines are starting to move. All right, back towards the Browns now that it looks like Watson may return. But for now, the club is waiting to see what the next 48 hours brings before making a commitment to that return. Browns coach Kevin Stefanski told reporters on Friday that Watson, quote, looked good today. And he threw passes more than 30 yards downfield without an issue. Quote, I thought he looked good, Stefanski repeated. Watson is listed as questionable. So Seguero points out that, look, the Browns are concerned about this contract and Watson being hurt, okay? So that's why and the rotator cuff is very, very tricky, all right? It's a delicate balance, as you can expect. The Browns want their starting quarterback to return so he can help them win the AFC North. They trail the Baltimore Ravens by one game and don't want to fall further behind. But the team is very aware Watson's future could be at stake here. That's a big deal because Watson is signed through 2026 and is getting $46 million in guaranteed base salary each and every one of those seasons. Now, yesterday we looked at Spot Track and it showed $63 million. You got to remember, that's the cap hit. Okay, if they were to have to cut him, it would be like $63 million, okay, a year. So it's been, as of right now, not a good contract. So risking a player with that contract over the long term or even the next 2 years is unwise because Watson isn't going anywhere during that time. I think the earliest they can get out is 3 years from now. The problem is Watson is dealing with a strained rotator cuff, and those have been known to end or limit careers of baseball pitchers, of course, but also quarterbacks. And he brings up Cam Newton here, and I had forgotten all about this. But Cam was never the same, ever, after a rotator cuff injury, a partially tore rotator cuff. Remember, I brought up in a video a micro tear in Watson's shoulder right now. Cam Newton, for example, underwent a surgery to repair a partially torn rotator cuff in 2017. He was never really the same as his 2015 MVP self. The Panthers moved on from him within a couple of years. Drew Brees wrestled with a rotator cuff injury in 2006. Now look, he played a long-ass time after that. But they bring up something very interesting. He showed little wear during his early years with the Saints. There was a steady decline of velocity over time. Brees once said that the injury was the reason he was diminished in his last few years. Now we remember Drew Brees' arm strength, that's really what forced him out of the league. All right, from a physical standpoint, Drew Brees was in phenomenal condition, even his last year. But it was his throwing shoulder. He couldn't throw the ball more than 20 yards anymore. Luckily, if you go back and look at Brees' stats, Sean Payton sort of reinvented the offense around 25-yard and under throws about the last 4 years of Brees' career. And you can actually notice that in the stats when you look at Brees. Watson this week confirmed his shoulder injury is a rotator cuff injury. That revelation was an unpleasant surprise. Watson's ailment was believed to be a contusion suffered in the week of practice after Cleveland's victory versus the Titans in week 3. Quote, "This is the first time dealing with a rotator cuff, so I'm trying to get as comfortable as possible so I can go out there and perform at the level I know I can." I had rotator cuff surgery on this left shoulder back in 97, I think. If I can't, then we just got to continue day to day. I'm not going to put the team in jeopardy if I can't do certain things that are going to allow us to be handicapped in certain situations. So that's the reason why I haven't been able to step on the field. Watson, in fact, was at practice on the field Thursday and Friday. So that's where you stand with Watson. Keep in mind, they are trying to avoid a season-ending rotator cuff surgery, okay, which had not been mentioned. You remember all the mystery around Watson, and he said he was playing, then all of a sudden pulled himself out, and then the club went on for the next 10 days to act really bizarre and really quiet, and Watson didn't even talk to anybody till 2 days ago. And people were wondering, why isn't he talking to anybody? Why aren't they allowing him out on the field? Well, I would tell you right now, my gut feeling is, you notice they made a point to say he threw the ball more than 30 yards down the field without issue. It's because you can't throw the ball down the field with a bad rotator cuff. All right? Which, unless Stefanski all of a sudden becomes Sean Payton from the Saints, not the Broncos, but the Saints, that could be a problem in how opposing defenses, you don't have Nick Chubb right now. If you did, this would be a better situation, all right? So I did, by the way, see a rumor about Derrick Henry in the Browns. So just throwing that out there on a side note. Cleveland's defense, this is PFT, has established a historic pace through 5 games. As previously noted, the 1,002 yards allowed by the Browns are the fewest through 5 games since 1971 and the third fewest of all time. I think it's the fewest since the Vikings and the Purple People Eaters, believe it or not, back in the day. That historically great defense. This Browns defense is great. Considering how dramatically the game has skewed towards offense in the last 52 years, it's an amazing accomplishment. By the way, offense is down all around the league this year. The Browns are giving up 200.4 yards per game. That's more than 60 yards per game, less than the Ravens allowed, 260.8, and far fewer than the third-place Niners at 278 yards a game. The Browns have held opponents to a league-low 23.1% success on third down. The Falcons, question mark, are 31.3%. They've been in every game this year pretty much. Cleveland has only allowed 52 first downs, or 10.4 per game. Second place team, the Bucks, 18.8 per game. Wow. More than 8 more first downs a game is second place. The weirdest aspect of the defensive dominance is the Browns are barely above 500 at 3-2. If they can get more consistency on offense, they can become one of the best teams in the AFC and potentially contend for the franchise first ever Super Bowl berth. Look, guys, it's all about the offense right now. I mean, look, Jim Schwartz. I mean, can we just acknowledge he's one of these guys that may not be the greatest of head coaches, but holy shit, the guy can sure coach defense like Fangio, like Rex Ryan. Buddy Ryan, actually coming to think about it. Those kind of guys. Man, I'm going to tell you, this defense was nasty. Just nasty and sick versus the Niners the other day. Shut them down. It's a very good team, folks. Look, if you're a Browns fan, outside of the Watson situation, which is nuttier than any kind of fruitcakes, lack of a better way of putting it. I just totally went blank for a second. Crazier than a shithouse rat. There, how about that? This defense is historically good. It's really good. It is a championship defense. Can we get Trent Dilfer? Where's Trent Dilfer at when you need him? Yikes. Anyway, you get the point. Can you imagine this team right now if Nick Chubb hadn't gotten hurt? I mean, and Ford looks decent. He does. I don't know. You gotta wonder, where could this team be right now if they just had good, not even great, good quarterback play. And if you're the Browns and you're Andrew Berry, do you owe it to this city and this team to try to trade for another quarterback? Whoever might be the best available backup quarterback. Davis Mills out of Houston actually comes to mind. I would have said Case Keenum, but he's the backup in Houston. I don't get that either. Davis Mills had some decent games at times down there. I'm just throwing that out, but I'm saying, don't you owe it to this town, the city, these great fans, to get another quarterback in case Watson? It would be horrible to have this great a team and then he's gone for the year and you're left with no quarterback. P.J. Walker. I don't know. I still say Dorian Thompson-Robinson is the quarterback of the future there, but I'm talking 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Tell me what you think, Black and White Sports 2 supporters. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.